hold onto your seats, because this week has been an absolute whirlwind of jaw-dropping action. Starbase is practically vibrating with unstoppable energy as the flame trench roars to life, and we're diving headfirst into the electrifying build-up for Starship Flight Test 9. Buckle up for a mind-blowing ride through a week packed with heart-pounding missions, spacecraft reborn from old missiles, rideshare brilliance, and cutting-edge science soaring to the International Space Station. Oh, and we're waving goodbye to a crew returning home after an epic journey. This video is sponsored by a company crafting innovative, magnetically levitating pens with a thrilling new Kickstarter campaign you'll hear about later. Let's blast off into the chaos and excitement at Starbase. Since the last update, the new launch pad has transformed from a work in progress to a near-complete beast. Those massive flame diverter assemblies were hauled to the site, and now they're locked in place, ready to tame the fury of the Raptor engines. Some might wonder why a few pipes were missing during the install. Don't worry, it was all part of the plan. The team cleverly left gaps to let the crane hook onto the load-spreading assembly, making the lift smoother. These diverters were hoisted, flipped upright, and gently lowered into the flame trench. That's right, the part that looked horizontal. It's actually the side hugging the trench's sloped walls. This setup has to withstand the monstrous force of Raptor engine exhaust at liftoff, balanced by a colossal flood of water blasting out to keep things cool. It's going to be a spectacle like no other. Notice the color-coded sections on the diverter: red, yellow, green, blue. Those mark the density of holes drilled into the pipes, with red packing the tightest pattern right under the booster, where the heat is most intense. With the heavy lifting done, the team's now removing temporary spaces and slotting in the final pipes. If this design holds up, and it's engineered to perfection, this diverter won't see daylight again for a long time. From an aerial view, it's a stunning piece of engineering, though the middle looked a bit exposed at first. Not anymore. The top piece was just moved from a nearby staging area to the launch complex. With 33 next-gen Raptor engines, each pumping out 280 tons of thrust, the combined force of 9,240 tons is why this setup is a marvel. That force splits right down the middle of the diverter, closest to the engines, where a dense array of holes channels water to fend off the blistering heat. Everything here is built to endure countless flights, because what's the point of a reusable rocket if the pad needs a major overhaul after every launch? The surrounding infrastructure is screaming forward at breakneck speed. The new launch mount was expected to sit on legs to keep it clear of the flame diverter. But unlike the first pad, this one's going with just 4, one at each corner. These beefy supports were hauled to the site this week, and while the diverter's top piece was still nearby, they were already being lifted onto the trench's side walls. It looks like the mount will simply bolt onto these legs, a modular design that's a game changer. If something goes wrong, this setup can be swapped out or repaired far easier than the original, which is practically welded to the ground. The first pad's launch mount became a tangled web of quick disconnect systems, needing constant maintenance after every flight. This new design, streamlined and ready for action. The water deluge system feeding the orbital launch mount and flame diverter is another beast entirely. Huge green pipes are still rolling in, connecting right up to the storage tanks, where a weir system, like the one on the first pad, is taking shape. Some wondered if they'd skip this setup, given the smaller-scale flame diverter at a nearby test site doesn't use it. But with the staggering volume of water needed here, it's a must. Manifolds at the top of the tanks are coming together, ready to channel high-pressure gas to shove water toward the pad for static fires, launches, or booster catches. Now let's talk about the booster quick disconnect gantry, a complex, beautifully assembled monster that's taking shape fast. The exact look of the disconnect itself is still a mystery, so every detail is being scrutinized. A massive shout-out to the team designing and building not just this system, but the entire tank farm. The new skid-based approach is pure genius. Components are pre-assembled on skids in another state, shipped to Starbase, lifted into place, and integrated with the rest of the setup. It's not just rockets they're building fast, it's entire launch sites. The tank farm's skid system is proving its worth, with each piece slotting in like a high-stakes puzzle. Thanks to everyone watching, this incredible story is being captured in real time. The support of viewers makes it possible to keep documenting this historic push toward the stars. Sharing this with friends and family keeps the excitement alive. Back at the launch mount, progress is relentless. The hold-down arms are arriving, massive, beefy components that scream durability. The clamps likely sit on one side, with the main pivot point at the base and a stop block at the top to keep things in check. One arm was lifted in for a test fit, but pulled back out, probably to tweak things before all 20 are installed. Over at the first pad, preparations for Flight Test 9 are in overdrive. The tower's catch arms were put through an unexpected test this week, not the usual catch simulations, but something far wilder. Small, precise movements set the arms wobbling, building up resonance that could spell disaster if not understood. This kind of testing is critical. Think of the infamous Tacoma Narrows Bridge, which collapsed when wind hit its resonant frequency. By mapping these vibrations, the team knows exactly what to avoid to keep the tower standing tall. At the build site, the old high bay is shrinking fast, with chunks being carved away to weaken it for demolition. This prevents the structure from catching too much wind as it's dismantled. Soon, it'll be gone, and foundations for a massive new bay will take its place. Nearby, a small extension of the factory building met its end, with glass windows shattered and debris cleared away. A test tank, nicknamed Tank 17, rolled out this week, sparking intrigue. 5 ports on its surface, likely shield actuators pushing on a central downcomer pipe, protecting them from cryogenic fluids. This setup seems designed to simulate the stresses on a liquid oxygen header tank during flight. 2 separate ports feeding the tank hint at dual quick disconnect systems for next-gen boosters. Even more curious are the cutouts at the base, 20 of them, perfectly spaced, suggesting a radically different clamping mechanism for Block 2 boosters. One hole is already in use for a hold-down clamp, a clue to what's coming. Future Starship builds are charging ahead. Ship 37, likely for Flight 11, was fully stacked in a massive assembly bay this week. Its heat shield is sparse, with no tiles or ablative layer yet, probably waiting on re-entry data from Ship 35 to finalize the design. With Ship 37 off the turntable, work on Ship 38 kicked off, with its Starlink dispenser already moved into the bay. The nose cone and payload bay should follow soon. Booster work is just as intense. Grid fins were installed on Booster 16, a late-stage task that means a static fire could be imminent, maybe even before Flight 9, if the schedule allows. Booster 14, set for Flight 9, got its hot staging ring, signaling it's nearly ready. All eyes are on Ship 35, which has completed its mitigations and is poised for another static fire. Road closures suggest it could roll out early next week. This week wasn't just about Starbase. Space itself was buzzing. A flurry of rapid-fire missions launched in under 4 days, starting with a Falcon 9 blasting off from Vandenberg in dense fog. The booster, on its 12th flight, carried a batch of reconnaissance satellites for a classified constellation. Over 200 of these have been launched in 2 years, with plans for a dozen more this year. No second-stage views as expected, but the ground cameras caught a stunning jellyfish effect as the exhaust plume glowed in the early morning sun. The booster nailed its landing on a drone ship, marking its 12th touchdown. Another mission, just days earlier, saw a Minotaur 4 rocket launch from Vandenberg with classified payloads. Its rapid pitchover, thanks to a high thrust-to-weight ratio, was a stark contrast to larger rockets like Falcon 9. This was the first Minotaur 4 launch from California since 2011, using stages from decommissioned Peacekeeper missiles topped with a solid rocket. It might be the last of its kind, per the agency's press release. The International Space Station saw emotional farewells as the Soyuz MS-26 crew, after 220 days in orbit, handed over command and prepared to return home. One astronaut, a master of space photography, shared breathtaking images of orbital sunsets and auroras, making the cosmos feel within reach. He even celebrated his 70th birthday during re-entry, screaming through the atmosphere at 28,000 kilometers per hour. The crew landed safely, though the long mission will demand recovery time, especially at that age. The next day, a Falcon 9 launched a cargo Dragon with 3 tons of supplies and science for the ISS. The booster, on its 3rd flight, returned to the launch site in a flawless daylight landing. The Dragon docked autonomously to the station's zenith port, carrying experiments like vision-based satellite navigation, air quality monitors, and even a tomato growth study. With a damaged Cygnus spacecraft cancelling the next cargo mission, this Dragon is packed to the brim, carrying critical hardware back to Earth. Later that day, a rideshare mission launched with a Falcon 9, carrying 3 payloads, including a weather satellite, a secretive military satellite, and Europe's first private re-entry capsule. The capsule, testing an inflatable heat shield, completed 2 orbits and survived re-entry, with initial data suggesting success. The booster landed back at the launch site, the second such return in days. The week wrapped with a Starlink mission, the 475th Falcon flight, launching 28 satellites with a booster on its 23rd flight. It landed perfectly on a drone ship, pushing toward a milestone 500th mission in weeks. Now let's talk Flight Test 9. Ship 35 and Booster 14 are the stars of this show, marking the first reuse of a super heavy booster. Ship 35 has been a beast, undergoing rigorous testing at Massey's, including a single-engine static fire, simulating an in-space burn, and a long-duration 6-engine test. It's now prepping for its final static fire before the big day, expected around May 20th, 2025, at 6:30 p.m. local time. Navigational warnings for the ship's re-entry over the Indian Ocean are out, hinting at an afternoon launch. The booster, with 29 of its 33 engines having flown before, is battle-tested and ready. Starbase itself is undergoing a transformation. The new launch mount, flame trench, and tank farm are designed for rapid reusability, minimizing downtime between flights. The chopsticks on the tower have been upgraded since Flight 5's historic booster catch, and the team's pushing for a potential ship catch in the future. The stakes are high. Thousands of criteria must align for a catch attempt, with safety first. If anything's off, the booster defaults to a splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico. This flight could pave the way for orbital missions, with an in-space burn and higher angle re-entry to stress the ship's flaps and heat shield. The data will shape future vehicles, like Ship 37 and beyond. The emotional weight of this moment can't be overstated. Every test brings humanity closer to Mars, the Moon, and a multi-planetary future. The sight of 33 Raptors igniting, the booster soaring back to the tower, and the ship slicing through the atmosphere. It's a testament to human ingenuity. Imagine the roar, the flames, the sheer power as Starbase lights up the Texas sky. This isn't just engineering, it's a dream taking flight. Ad start. A huge thanks to the sponsor for backing this video. Their new Kickstarter campaign is live, featuring a portable, magnetically levitating pen that's a marvel of design. Crafted from spacecraft-grade aluminum, it's practically weightless and perfect for travel. There's even a limited Apollo edition with real Captain Foil from the 1969 Command Module, honoring the moon landing. Only 1,969 are being made. Talk about exclusive. Early bird pledges score up to 30% off. For those wanting something now, their interstellar pen floats at a 23.5-degree tilt, mimicking Earth's axial tilt. The Meteorite edition even has a 4.5-billion-year-old meteorite fragment at the tip. These refillable pens are built to last, making them a perfect gift for space lovers. Use the code in the description for 10% off most models, with free shipping to many countries. Check the links or QR code to grab yours. Ad end. Back to Starbase. The pace is relentless. The old high bay's demolition signals a new era, with the Gigabay on the horizon. The factory's expansion, the new tank farm, the modular launch mount, all point to a future where launches happen daily. Ship 35's static fire is the final hurdle before Flight 9, and the team's ready to nail it. The booster's hot staging ring is in place, the tower's arms are tuned, and the flame trench is set to handle the fury. This flight isn't just a test, it's a leap toward a future where humanity lives among the stars. The week's other missions only amplify the excitement. From foggy Vandenberg launches to the ISS crew's heartfelt return, every moment feels like a step forward. The Cargo Dragon's experiments, tomatoes in space, nanomaterial drug delivery, show how space is transforming life on Earth. The rideshare's inflatable heat shield could redefine re-entry tech, and the Minotaur's missile-turned rocket is a nod to how far we've come. Flight Test 9 is the culmination of years of grit, failure, and triumph. The first flight, in 2023, ended in a fireball, but it broke records as the most powerful rocket ever flown. Flight 5 caught the booster mid-air, a feat that felt like science fiction. Now, with Flight 9, the team's pushing the limits again, reusing a booster, stressing the ship's re-entry, and gathering data to perfect the system. The emotional stakes are sky high. Picture the team at Starbase, working through the night, knowing each test brings Mars closer. Imagine the crowd watching the live stream, hearts racing as the booster hovers above the tower. Feel the pride as Ship 35 screams through the Indian Ocean skies, proving it can survive the fire of re-entry. This is humanity's boldest adventure, and it's happening now. The script could go on, diving deeper into the engineering, the science, the dreams, but the heart of it is this. Starbase is alive. Flight 9 is coming, and the future is brighter than ever. Stay tuned, share this journey, and let's watch history unfold together. See you at the launch.